can't hear nobody. If y'all can hear me, I can't hear y'all. I'm sorry.
I'm here to speak on my advice to others. Hopefully, it'll just inspire those to come forward and if they got issues.
Okay,
See,
so
so
sharing your experience.
so you good with PTSD?
Yes,
I need it.
Okay, so that's what this is about. So, guys, before we get started, turn your device down. So, whatever you're playing the live the stream through, turn your phone down, and then you can just kind of you're in studio, so you're good here. And for those who are listening, the sound is up now. Thank you, Brother McCray, for that note. So now those of you who are viewing online can hear and see the conversation as well. So Jeffrey Rouser was giving you why he's here, and so was Jock Austin. So men and mental health, let's just have an open conversation before we get started with personal stories and professional aspects of this conversation. when we think about men, black men, and mental health, what are the first things that come to mind for any of you, either of the three of you?
The stigma that mentally health, man, is looked at as soft.
Hmm. Okay.
Like if a man focus on what hurts him emotionally,
Hmm.
it's kind of frowned upon. Like you were taught to be tough, you were taught to be the rock,
Hmm.
but even a rock got emotion. Like even like a human rock, I don't care how much of you,
Like how hard you are.
I can be the cornerstone of my family,
Yeah.
but at one time you gonna break. And if you can't break around nobody,
Like where then do you break?
that would end up happening. That's what leads to a lot of violence. Like it leads to a lot of stuff. Like if you
Gotcha.
have nowhere to break, you end up exerting that energy into the wrong place.
All right. So the stigma, and then what we do with the anger, or what you all do with the anger and the aggression. Jeff and Jai, what about you all? What you think? Like
I th-
men, black men, and mental health. What's the first thing that comes
I
to
agree
mind for
with
you?
Vic, and it's pride and trust.
Okay.
Pride, too much pride to say something is wrong, and you when you do open up or want to open up, you got to be able to trust whoever you want to tell this to.
Okay.
And it goes back to what Vic said that you're supposed to be the cornerstone. You're supposed to have emotion. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you human.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot
Jai.
of times men though aren't taught to address that or
Mm.
even shown, I guess that behavior modeled
Mm-hmm.
how to talk about emotional issues, how to address it. A lot of times, you know, I just think about a kid coming home, he heard of something, dad gonna tell him to suck it up. Even if you playing sports, coach be like, rub some dirt on it, you be all right. Put your feelings out
Mm-hmm.
because if you being emotional, you acting like a girl. Like you said, there's a stigma of being soft, but it I think it interferes with the connection that men can have with their families, fathers can have with their children,
Absolutely.
husbands can have with their wives. But a lot of time that man is taught that, I'm a man, I'm supposed to suck it up and deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
I go to talk to somebody about it, then I ain't handling it like I'm supposed to. But what happens when the way you've been taught to handle it is wrong?
Yep.
Mm. The way you've been taught is wrong. So you all are taught. So really, you all were taught as boys to do what when something hurts or when your feelings are hurt. What were you taught to
Exactly.
do?
Like it like the natural how can I put it? The natural black way to raise a young man. I don't
Okay.
want to put all black people in a box, but the natural urban black way.
Mm-hmm.
If when a boy hurt himself, get up, dust it off. Get up, dust it off. Like no matter what it is, just get up, dust it off. Get hurt by your first girl, get up, dust it off. When it's not the problem is not that you have emotions, it's how you address the emotion.
Right.
If we coach black men on how to address their emotions when they feel emotional, it'll save a lot of issues when they become grown men and they got the emotional intelligence of a baby.
Mm.
You
That's
said
that's pretty
something there
that's
that
pretty
emotional.
heavy. Okay.
Yeah.
So interesting. So already in the first 10 minutes, you all have heard like the ice. I guess that's the icebreaker. Like this is why we do what we do because we've been taught not to do something different. As a mother, as a black woman who dates black men, as a sister to black men, as a daughter of a black man, I've seen different emotions from different black men. And a lot of what I see is based on what type of situations they're put in. Like if I share a situation with them where, loss of income or loss of a child, loss of a relative or loved one, um, addiction, just different things that we see, and I observe how men handle these things. And what would you all say that you do with those different issues and those different emotions?
Because
How
we
do you
emotionally
deal?
play dodgeball. We do everything it is to dodge our emotions. Like you end up growing up playing emotional dodgeball. Whether you're gonna dodge it to drugs, you're gonna dodge it to not caring, you're gonna dodge it to hurting people, you're gonna dodge whatever you gotta do instead of facing what's really wrong with you.
Wow.
And see, I can take it a step further because I had, growing up, you got to be, hey, suck
Yeah.
it up. But then take it to another level. I was in the Marines. You train that way
That's
also.
like that's like
You get
the
what I'm saying?
the honors edition.
Yeah, that's the yeah, yeah. It's you feel nothing. Pain is weakness leaving the body. That's what they're telling you. So if even dealing with emotion, if it causes you pain, we got to get rid of it.
Okay, so let's jump into your story. And Jock, I want you to take all this in. Okay, take it all in because we're gonna have a conversation about it. This is what you do. So this is what we're gonna talk about. But Jeff, I want you to tell us, about your personal story. You said you were in the Marines.
Mhm.
And we'll start there. But is that where your mental health concerns started?
Yeah. That's where it started. I did a tour in Iraq. I had to clean up Katrina. Like I've seen some stuff in my day, but it goes before then in initial training.
So the very
The
beginning.
fair when you hit those yellow footsteps in Paris Island or on the West Coast at Pendleton, when you hit them footsteps, that's the first thing they do is break you.
So you know that that's what you're going into,
Hmm.
and you go into it anyway.
You
Which
going in to serve your country.
I'm going in to serve my country.
And you going
Uh-huh.
in with the
Now,
best
now I would
outcome in your
tell anybody.
mind. That you
Okay.
gonna reach.
I would tell anybody
Okay.
when they come to me, I give them the utmost, the truth about what's going to happen because as recruiters, they're not going to tell you everything.
Right.
So
Like you could like this one thing. I associate like not to disrespect the military, but it's kind of similar to the streets. Like you know what you signing up for
Mm-hmm.
when you get in the streets, but a lot of guys have no choice, but they do it anyway, and they think of the best possible outcome, and that's what they associate
I'm gonna get
themselves
the big
with.
house on the
Even
hill,
though
and I'm gonna
you're
be
not gonna
cool.
get that best possible outcome
Yeah.
90% of the time, they still do it
uh,
with the hope of that outcome.
yeah.
So about the same.
I was in college when I decided.
Okay.
I got tired of school,
Okay.
but the way I was taught as growing up, a man just don't sit down.
Yeah,
You got to do something. So instead of being in the streets, I went there.
you go to the positive route.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you get there, you hit the yellow footsteps,
you hit them yellow
and
footsteps
boom, life changes.
instantly.
So go there. Tell us what you want to tell us. What you feel like contributes the most to your story.
To my
Like how
story,
how this whole thing started for you.
ooh,
Like you said, the training was the beginning. So
that's the
how
training
did it
because
go?
they, like I said, most people don't know. If you even want to go to the military, you got to be you're a therapist and you deal with mental health, right? So you already know where I'm going to go with this. They only want you between a certain age group. That's 18, no more than 31. And if you're 31, is you got to have a waiver or have previous service. The reason, because of that is, especially men, brains don't fully develop until,
So 25.
so you easily mold it.
Yeah.
So if they get you for them first 4 years after college, or that's what you taught. You Because most people, how many of us remember their childhood?
In bits pieces.
But you're gonna remember that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the way they do it, they drill it in you. So it comes second nature.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And then, like me going overseas in Iraq. So what are you taught to do? Now I understood why when you step on the yellow footprints you did it. Because once you get in wartime situations, you can't that can possibly get you killed having
Yeah.
emotion.
Yeah.
But the problem becomes when you get back home.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
So while
So-
you were there, you were able to function in the mindset that you needed to function in.
Yeah.
That was normal for that
That was
particular
normal.
situation.
That was normal.
But then you come back home.
It ain't normal.
That's not normal.
Because you have to. I'm just now at 38 years. I just turned 38 today.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, but within the last 5 years, I've just learned emotion
Okay.
because I've been like hard. Like I'm just. You'll still think I was in the Marines the way I walk. I mean, when they instill it in you, it's in you.
But you were somebody who 5 years ago was, very vocal, talking
Mhm.
about issues, running
Mhm.
for political offices. Like
Mhm.
there was some compassion there.
Hmm.
But
The emotion, going back to what you all saying in the household, that emotion.
Yeah.
okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Okay. So
Now,
not knowing
me
where to put
doing
it.
that,
Okay.
that was driving me. That I'm getting that rush I had when I was overseas, when I did political stuff. That's that rush.
Okay.
But the problem comes when it's at home.
Like in your home.
And in home, around family. How do you console? So you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got to have that emotion,
Yeah.
or
So-
you
so
just
lack
gonna
of
be
empathy.
exactly,
happened.
exactly.
Like that's like one of the number one deal breaker for a relationship. Like when a man fight the world and he come home and have to fight
Yeah,
his girl,
yeah.
it's over with. Because you need that at home safe zone, like mentally, emotionally, to be able to say whatever bothering you.
Mhm.
A judge free zone.
Mhm.
Don't bring it up later when we into it. We clear our minds. We be each other therapy. But
Uh-huh.
a lot of times that don't work out that way.
Like you were saying earlier, they dodging those emotions. You have a
Yeah.
lot of dudes sometimes in avoiding addressing what they feel. They directing it towards someone else. They
Yeah.
pushing it towards someone else. You making me feel this, or if you keep doing this, or you keep doing that, then that's what's causing me to act this way, rather than identifying or addressing what it is that that they're dealing with.
Mhm.
You know, just being able to, like you said, identify your own emotions. I remember talking with someone, and young dude, 17, 18, came in and asked him to identify as many emotions that you've probably gone through over the past week. He can only identify three: angry, happy, and bored.
Mm.
Angry, that's all you feel. Either I'm angry, or I'm happy, or I'm bored.
Or is that all I know to say?
Exactly.
Because, and I want to
Wow.
take it a step further. It could be more, but it goes back to that pride. What
Mhm.
you gonna say? I feel lovable right now. Not as a
Then,
man, you're not going to say it. You get what
then
I'm
one
saying?
step above that, it go back to emotional intelligence. Like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot of guys haven't tapped into their emotions. Like they just haven't. Like it took me to get. I had to go through a lot. Like I went through like up to age 26, just numb. Like you know me, you know my real life.
Mhm,
You know even
mhm.
when I lost check at 15, like I learned to be numb early in life.
Yeah.
And it took for me to just get hit with a sledgehammer to where I went through depression and had to
Mhm.
face my emotions. Like I ran from drinking in the club every night to smoking to having a blast to one day the party stopped. And now you gotta
Mm.
face your emotions.
So the party does
There you go.
stop.
You
Yeah,
said
the
it.
party
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
So we look at it as a party, and when it's happening, and Vic, since you brought it up, when it's happening, do you know that that's what you're doing? Do you know, like, man, I'm drinking like this ain't really fun. I'm drinking like this cause,
Subconsciously I do,
yeah.
but I never consciously address it because if I do it, that'll stop the party.
Mm.
So I
Mhm.
block it out intentionally.
Mhm.
Like I go out when I'll go out Friday, Saturday, Sunday in the Palace on Wednesday, this club, that club, just living.
We ran into each
And
other a lot too, didn't
yeah,
So
and
so you think about that, everybody's out here just living, but
it's
really
a short
coping and
term
trying to figure it
happiness.
out,
It's
right?
it's a real short term happiness. And when you get home and you sober up and them emotions start to hit back, they go out again,
we?
trying to get
And
back out.
what I realized what it was, because I have a psychologist, psychiatrist, and therapist, and all that stuff. I would what you were doing, what I did, you were self medicating.
Yeah.
You use it to self medicate, and they people think, oh, he just drunk. No, because you're not drinking to get drunk. You actually medicating to forget what's wrong.
Yeah.
And then when the like you said, when the party over, not only do it come back, you done so
You come back double.
cut back double because now you done added on top of that while you was drinking. You get what
Yep.
I'm saying? So yeah.
Number one approach in dealing with substance abuse. And it don't matter what it is that you come to me using.
Hmm.
Let's take a look at, why is it a coping mechanism for you? What is it that you're trying to cover up? What is it that you're dealing with emotionally that the drugs and the alcohol you think or
But
feel begins to kind of take away? Let's
Yeah.
start a conversation around that.
Like,
but
what is it?
mental issues it lead to way more than substance abuse.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
Oh
leads to
yeah,
it leads to
yeah. I'm
people
saying when they
overeating.
come in with the
Like when they
substance
It
abuse
finally
issue.
acknowledge
Yeah.
that this is a
Yeah.
it
problem.
leads to everything. So the root cause is it's more the mental than the substance abuse because the substance abuse
Exactly.
is a root of the tree.
But being able to define what that is, like what is that that mental concern? Was it when I lost my friend? Was it when I experienced that breakup? Is it me not knowing who my real dad is? Like, what is it?
And that's what
I know what mine was. I had survivor's guilt
Mm.
because I knew more people dead than alive.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can go down Boogie, you can go down Chucky, you
Yeah.
can go down the list to my own. Like I know more people dead than alive. So you feel like on one point ain't that why you were here. It's not that. It's the fact that like you lucky. So you live life like you feel like you was lucky. Like you think
there you
that
go.
something go wrong at any time.
There you go.
Hmm.
And that's the same mindset I had coming back from overseas.
That's why I
I
say
done
they tie
seen so
together.
many go. I can't take none of this stuff with me. So I
Yeah.
blow through. You hear me?
Yeah.
I blow through it.
Jock, we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
A
So
lot.
fast 4 minutes for the first half of the Abby Award winning Vital Show here on a Sunday night in Mental May. I got my people with me. Real black men having a conversation about black men and mental health, real stories about their own experiences. And I'm just facilitating the conversation because it's my show. But you all are telling your stories, and I appreciate that. Somebody's listening that is really going to be helped tonight. Jock is going to come in and give some clinical and maybe not clinical, but some jock type talk to help us better understand the role of Brother Let's Talk in the community and what's happening, not just in May, but all the time. But right now in Mental May, having a conversation about black men and mental health, let's look at Jeff, going back to coming home
Mhm.
and readjusting, a lot of people have adjustment issues with everything. Like now coming out of COVID, everybody's having some type of adjustment
Mhm.
concerns, if not just major issues. What, like, on a daily basis, what are you thinking about and feeling like? And what are some of the things that you
It's about like
experience
right now.
right now, if you want to?
Oh,
Yeah.
with me,
And it's your birthday.
yeah. It's controlled right now. Like I said initially, I didn't know what I was dealing with. So, like Vic said, you drank because that made you feel good. That was your medicine.
Yeah.
And then, when you do seek help, then when they tell you what's wrong, you're gonna be in denial because of that pride.
Yep.
Man, ain't nothing wrong with me. You get what I'm saying?
Mm.
And then it take maturity in the fact that you got to face up to what you're dealing with and do your own research about it and
Yeah.
look at the symptoms, and you're gonna be all right. But as far as now, I'm fine. But I do still have my episode. Like I tell anybody, I got to live with this the rest of my life. So ultimate goal is I don't medicate. I learn how to do it on my own. Now everybody can do that. I suggest people take medication till you figure out how it is that you can manage it on your own. And some people can never do it. So,
Yeah.
but the thing that I have noticed, talking helps.
Talking
Love.
helps.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So
I like to hear that.
yeah, talking helps. So anybody I see out, and for some reason they just drawn to me, they tell me, they open
Mhm.
up, and we have a conversation. And I'm always the one that, hey, you need to do this because not only am I telling you, what's right, I'm telling you from experience.
And experience is a master teacher.
Exactly.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back from the break, Jock, we're going to jump into why you do what you do and kind of what your story is about, even like black men and mental health, and then being like a worker in it. Where they do that at? So we're going to talk about that in a minute. Shouts out to everybody who is watching and listening. Got some commenters. Another therapist is on, Crystal Mullen Johnson. Hello, ma'am. Tanya Collins, hello to you as well. So for the rest of you who are watching and listening, share the stream. Somebody needs it, and it's vital. Like, share it for that reason. We'll be right back in about 2-3 minutes. V94.9 WATV on Sunday nights, where the V stands for vital.
Midday feng shui. What is feng shui, you may ask? Well, hey, it's about how everything is set up.
All right, everybody that is watching and listening on social media, we're going to take a quick radio break, but we're going to stay up. So you all stay locked right here. We'll be back in like 2 minutes. Get your comments and questions, and be sure to share the stream.
So I need to get in a little closer then, huh? I'm not close enough.
Yeah, like your mic should be stretched out so that you can just kind of talk directly
Lean
into
over
it.
into it. I figure it out. I'm good. I work it out. It's like having notes.
So if you pull it, like put your laptop on the other side and then just stretch the mic straight out, you should be good. And then log in for the next half on StreamYard so we can see you too.
You can't see me?
They only hear you. I haven't added you to the studio yet. There you go. I'm safe.
of being blowed off. I'm tired of being the butt of everybody joke. I come and try to talk to y'all, but y'all just push me aside. Y'all don't take it serious. I'm gonna show y'all, so to speak. But
Mhm.
he was just in this tirade, and so I saw that. And at the same time, No More Martyrs was holding a minority women's mental health summit
Mhm.
at. I called Dr. Richardson, Nadia Richardson, who's the executive director of No More Martyrs. I called her, asked her, "Can I just be a fly on the wall? Because what you all are doing for women, we need to do something like this for men."
Yeah.
Because there are so many men walking around dealing with and not even knowing that they've been traumatized, either from the
Yes.
streets or from military or just from life itself, and not knowing or aware what all is going on, and coping with it the best way that they know how.
Mhm.
Drugs, alcohol, anger, things like that. And so what I wanted to do was to put together Black mental health professionals, bring them into a room and invite Black men to come in and see that there are Black men in this field who've been through what you've been through, who've walked that walk. And because a lot of times, I was asking earlier, you know, was it, was it your first time going into counseling? Because a lot of times a Black man to go into counseling, the person sitting across from him don't look like that. And
Right.
there's just automatically that mistrust
Mhm.
that's not there. And in addition, the stigma that's there, because usually when a Black man went into counseling, it was, because of some adjudication, or somebody
Mhm. Through
said
the
you need to
system.
go, or as opposed to them recognizing, okay, I can talk to somebody about this. We've all culturally been taught, what stays at home, what happens at home stays at home. We keep it close to the chest. We don't want to talk about it. So in 2017, pulled together um, a Black psychiatrist, Dr. Artie Nelson, a Black
Mhm.
psychologist, Dr. Jeff Moore, myself, a licensed professional counselor, a licensed clinical social worker, and just pulled Mr. Hall, Montel Hall,
Mhm.
um, pulled these individuals together and had this event. Chris Coleman hosted it, 2017. We did it down at the Wine Loft. Great event. I was talking with someone at the event last night, and they recalled that event, saying it
Yeah.
was first time they seen that many Black men come together regarding a mental health issue, just trying to bring that awareness. And so that's how God works, because in my mind, it was supposed to be just a one-time event, that we were
Okay.
just going to do this one thing. But here we are, 2021, and have had a series of events, developed a model that we've been kind of following. It's been working. And so we want to promote, like you were saying, just being able to talk. We'll hold barbershop talks where men come in and we're having conversation, but in the midst of that conversation are licensed clinical professionals.
Yeah.
It's not a counseling session, it's not therapy, but we, being professionals, we
It's
know how to
therapeutic
facilitate
conversation. Mhm.
the conversation, how to guide it, but also provide those resources. A lot of dudes who've come to our barbershop talks have connected with a therapist, continue counseling, but just being able to identify, have a discussion around what the stigma is, and let's find out the truth behind it. Our motto, stop the stigma, address the stress,
Yeah.
is meant to just, kind of heal that the Black community by
I
starting with the men.
I'm very proud of you all for doing that. And I always say I've been a big fan of it. At the other station, we had like such a great show the first time that we met Brother Let's Talk, which was probably in 2017.
Yeah, yeah.
So just knowing that you all are serving the community in that way, but also being the community. You all are Black men from the community. So what made you even step into mental health as a profession? Like as a Black man, like yeah, you don't really see that.
Man, you told me coming out of high school, I ended up being a therapist. I looked at you crazy, because actually, this is a second career for me.
Okay.
I came out of high school, went to a little known college in Atlanta, got into electronics and was working. Couldn't find a job, joined the military because I knew I wanted to go back to school,
Hmm.
and that was the only way I would be able to pay for it. But then also, I knew I needed some discipline. I knew I needed to kind of settle down and kind of get my head right. And so I
Really?
looked at
You
the
knew
military.
that?
Oh, yeah, I knew that.
Oh, okay. That's
Because
interesting.
everybody around me was telling me that too.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, all right, I need to listen, straighten
Let
up,
me get
settle
it
down
together.
for a little bit,
Okay.
And so came out of the military, worked for a while. Like I said, couldn't find a job. And to tell you what the truth, what happened, I sat down, I was reading, I was on the campus of UGA, picked up a psychology textbook, read it, and it was interesting. And I'm like, okay, I think I might want to follow this. I knew I wanted to go back to school, but not necessarily for what.
Hmm.
the Lord created it. So I came back to UAB, stayed with my, moved back home actually, and got into counseling. I think my first year of school, first few years, still wasn't too sure about counseling. I
How
took a
did I
career
even get here?
I took a career interest inventory,
Okay. Hmm.
and it said that may be one of the fields, and because I was looking at what is it that I could do that doesn't necessarily seem like work. I just enjoy doing it. You know, wise man once told me, don't worry about the money, do what you love, the money gonna come.
Hmm.
And so I followed that path. And so got into counseling still in graduate school, thinking, ain't nobody gonna come talk to me. I'm a black man and ain't nobody really gonna come talk to me. And so nah, now, it's like we're in rare demand. It's hard to find a black male therapist in a lot of the cities because now we got this move where um, mental health people are actually taking more interest in addressing
Yes.
their mental health.
Yeah, they are.
It's outstanding to see that because I got dudes coming to me now who 2, 3, 4 years ago would have never seen themselves in counseling or even come into counseling
Right.
and say, this was a totally different experience than what I expected. I thought you was gonna come in here and tell me I'm crazy. I shouldn't do this. No, no, let's just sit down because it's about rapport.
Hmm.
It's about having that conversation and allowing you to find those tools that's already inside you and to put them to practice.
So when Jeffrey said what he said about, hey, I don't, I'm good now. Like I've learned skills. How did that make you feel? Like, was that like, yeah, brother got it? Was it that? Or like, what does that say? Because we had a conversation before the show and I was just like, that may work for you, but there are others, as he said, that will always need to follow the regimen of being in therapy, taking medication. Like they will always have to do that. But it's the goal to like really restore people to the point where they just have the skills and that's enough.
No, not to just have the skills and that's enough to but be able to put it into
But
practice.
of course, yeah.
And also, I don't I don't try to see clients for years and years and years because if
Right.
I got to see you for years and years and
What's
it's not working.
happening? Right.
So it's a point of getting that individual where you have gained the skills, the knowledge, but also being able to apply that skill and knowledge in various
I can
situations.
I can say this. Some of the people with the strongest mental health issues have fixated personality. Like they focus in and they key in on things. So if something going wrong, you focus in on it and it kind of bothers you more than it bothers the average person. But if you apply that to skill, like he was saying, you end up keying in on a lot of skills and it free your mind. Like the more you're learning, the more you're practicing doing whatever you're applying yourself to,
Hmm.
it kind of is an escape to an extent.
Because you are learning something new that is exciting because it's new, but it's also working.
And it also keeping your mind off the negative at the same
Uh-huh.
time,
Okay.
which is an extent of an escape. But
It's
yeah,
safe and it's legal. It's a
yeah,
skill. Okay. Okay. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we are hearing from three black men tonight on mental health, like their personal stories, professional stories, all mixed up into one vital pot of conversation. So hopefully you're getting something from it. If you know somebody that needs to hear this conversation, call and tell them, hey, you need to turn the radio on. They sound like you. They look like you. This might be good for you. So let's get back into the conversation because I don't want to waste any of our time that somebody could be getting something from it. So Jeff, going back to you and what makes you said talking,
Mhm.
like you talking to people about what you've experienced
Mhm.
helps you.
Mhm.
So how does this go? Like you said, sometimes you'll be in the club, but like other places, where else are you when you do all this talking?
Everywhere.
Like what's happening?
Everywhere. When I was working, I can be at work. Uh,
Tell us what you did
I was a mailman for eight and
in
a half years
Fairfield.
in Fairfield.
Okay.
Yes, in Fairfield.
Uh-huh. Y'all
Yeah.
taking over tonight. It's okay. I know you from Fairfield too. So you were a mailman. So that means you popping up on folk porches. They sitting on the porch and you
Hmm.
stopping talking.
Hmm.
So you get off work hours late.
Kids, everybody. Yeah, everybody. Everybody want to talk to the mailman.
So what were those conversations like? Like what were you sharing?
They would just usually tell me about everyday life, what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
They always say, the mailman know the business that your pastor and your lawyer don't know, or your
Okay.
husband and wife. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but just in general about life, and you have some to have, like he said, the street issue. You got the people in the streets are just like me. They just ain't go overseas.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all trauma.
So their mental illness, as the society, in my opinion, self-inflicted. We don't care about you. Where with me, because I went to war, oh, we got to save you. You get what I'm saying?
Mm.
You get what I'm saying? You don't care about them. You
Mhm.
care about us. But we did the same thing. It's just
But they
that
just did it at home.
they just did it at home.
And both
Whew.
issues are environmental.
Exactly. Because it still affect the home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your diagnosis is, you said PTSD.
PTSD.
Okay. When when we hear PTSD, everybody here, like now, like Jock said, all of the therapeutic cliche conversation, everybody's toxic, and what else are people saying a lot now? Toxic. They claim
That's the
they
favorite.
claim disorders that they have no clue of, like bipolar and ADHD, and those two specifically, and OCD. Everybody
Mhm.
wants to be OCD because they keep their house clean, so that's the thing. Um, even the love languages, that's therapeutic stuff, but everybody's a master of the love languages. I'm like, this is
And
so
another thing,
great.
when they label PTSD, people don't know that's the you all do it for a living, but that's the diagnosis. But you got levels.
So much,
of
like it's so much
Yeah.
You have
stuff, right?
levels. Like I gave Wu my stuff. Like anything that's covered under you looking at it, anything that's covered under PTSD, I got it. So the memory loss, the forgetfulness, the rage, all this stuff. It's like she looking at it's like 3 pages that's up under it.
But some of the symptoms, like for somebody to hear the symptoms, and when you think about the severity of some of the things that we could be plagued with, some of the things that we can live with and deal with, and then you hear it and you say, oh, okay, so I don't have that. But I think that having a conversation, Jock, where people can actually hear what like how can two different walks of life deem the same diagnosis of PTSD or um depression or anxiety, like those different things right there, where we just own them, but we don't really know what's under that.
Well, it's in the definitions in the term post traumatic stress disorder.
Yes.
Mhm.
Saying, go ahead.
You will know PTSD because you could be having fun and the smallest thing will trigger it. Like
Prime example, last
out
night.
the blue.
Yeah.
Last night we in the club, but I don't deal with crowds well,
Hmm.
so it got too crowded, and we was having a good time, and all of a sudden I lock up and go
Yeah.
to you get what I'm saying? It looking like you security, but like no, I just don't do well in crowds, and the only thing that I found that actually soothes me is uh affection. So I hang
So your partner has to know.
no, yeah, yeah, yeah. To recognize the signs of when I'm going downhill because I'm out of like I said, I've got PTSD, but mine is combat. Did some stuff in my day,
Mm-hmm.
so I start remembering all that stuff.
Hmm.
And the crowds get up on you, you feel like you closed in. And if you ain't got nobody to pretty much soothe the beast, then they can aggravate it if they don't recognize what it is. They can pull gasoline on the flame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if they come at you, like, what's wrong with you? You looking stupid enough. Well,
Kind of what Vic said
that's
earlier.
that's gonna
Yeah.
make you.
It's gonna
Yeah.
trigger you.
Yeah, and then it's gonna be like, then that what you got now? You got domestic violence.
We talked about that as well. Like,
Yeah.
I have heard and seen holes in walls of my male friends, and I have two brothers. Like, I'm the only girl, and I've seen holes in doors and things like that. And I'm like, what is? I've seen a friend of mine punch a brick wall. What in the world would possess you to do that? And I'm here trying to talk to you. So, like, women not knowing how you all feel, we don't know what to, a lot of us don't know what to do in those moments where you're raging or you're upset and this has triggered something else, and now you're punching a wall. Punching a wall. Yeah, like, yeah, we did that. I did that.
I mean, that mean he just reached the mental peak
Mm-hmm.
and he haven't addressed it or talked about it. And now you enraged because it's no more that you can think mentally about it to where you got to get some physical exertion.
So let me ball my fingers up
Yeah.
and try to punch them through this wall.
You got to get that energy
See,
out your
yeah,
body
you're
some
trying to-
way.
You thinking about it from a rational perspective.
And from a woman's perspective, I'm not about to hurt my hand.
Well, but then also that person who's in that moment may not be thinking rationally.
Okay.
And so the way they act out is to address, I guess, some sort of concern. What I do want to address, though, because you were asking, how is it that someone who's been to combat and someone who hasn't can both be diagnosed with PTSD?
Right.
And there has to be some sort of traumatic event, something where that person felt that their life was in danger, either real or imagined.
Mhm.
And it caused a certain level of stress to an extent that it interrupts their average day of living,
Right.
their normal life, and certain things trigger it. A lot of times, person who's been in the combat, it may be the sound of fireworks or something like that, or maybe confined spaces or something like that. For some people, it may be something that they've smelled, or a vision or something that they
Like
see
a
that kind
moment
of
of
triggers them.
transparency. A moment for me is when my dogs bark late at night. Like
Like
that's
something is
that's
happening.
triggering to me
Yeah.
when my dog bark late at night. Cause on New Year's Day, my child's mother got shot in the head. She
Mm.
survived, but when she got shot in the head, the police came to my house at like 2 in the morning, and I just remember the dogs bark. And once the dogs bark, then I heard the little chirp go off when they on them.
Mhm.
So then I walked to the door like, "What's up?" They're like, "What Cameron there?" I'm like, "What you mean, what Cameron? He in here sleep. What's his date of birth?" I'm like, "What you asking me that for? I'm his daddy." Then they end up telling me what was going on, this and that and the third. So now whenever I hear dogs bark late,
Mm-hmm.
it triggered me that something going wrong. I go outside and look. It's a triggering thing from now on.
I totally I get that. And we all probably have those moments that we can remember that trigger us into that state or something that shook us. What do you do with those moments, Jock?
What do you do with those moments when you're kind of triggered? And a lot of times we look outside ourselves and see what else is going on out there that I can't necessarily control, and try to control it and change things. But the one thing that we do have control over is ourselves, being
Right.
able to kind of look at, whoa, wait a minute, am I actually in danger? You know, is that person who's standing over there and kind of looking my way, are they really staring at me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just kind of, okay, what's going on with me? Being able, let me slow down because I get excited when I
Yeah.
get into it. But
Yeah.
I talk about awareness, control, expression, and evaluation, self awareness, truly knowing yourself. And I imagine that the more you begin to know about what was going on with you and what some of those triggers were and how to manage it, being able to manage is that control part, that
Mm-hmm.
self-control.
Mhm.
The self-expression is just being able, it's a manifestation of that choice, taking a choice to do something different, where you sincere about changing your behavior, or trying to stop a particular habit, and you say, okay, I'm gonna make a choice and do something different. And when you do that, that self-evaluation is elevated. You feel better about yourself because you did something different.
Yeah.
But it starts with that awareness, that self-awareness, recognizing I do have control over me, and is what I'm thinking. I tell so many people, just because you think it or you feel it doesn't mean you have to do it. It doesn't mean you have to respond to it. It may take a moment to kind of sit down. Okay, where is this thought coming from? And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times, we find out in therapy that thought came from something that a parent
From
kind of
some
drilled
trauma or
into your
something that I
mind when you were
learned. Right.
young, or because you talked about ruminating and how that thought just kind of plays on your mind. And the more we think about something, we're going to begin to feel a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
We don't take a time to stop and say, whoa, what is this thought popping into my mind? We get all kind of thoughts coming through our head all times a day. But do we need to hold on to it and allow it to manifest in some negative feeling, and then we behave and act upon it because we've been thinking about it? So then it must be true, you know. She
Hmm.
ain't been coming home at 7 o'clock. She out here doing this and she out here doing that. Next thing you know, you sitting outside her job trying to watch and see where
Hey,
she
that's
at.
my post from this
And look, that's
morning.
my that's how it is, right? So, Jock, what do you know with the barbershop talk and with the conversations? What are men talking about? Like, what is it they're holding in? Is it mostly relationship stuff?
We ain't had one since 2019.
Oh, so yeah, back then when y'all were having like, what are
Yeah,
what are
and
men
we're
talking
trying to. We're
about?
hoping we'll be able to kick it off again in August. But
Okay.
we just come in and have a great conversation. Ralph Sims, who puts together a nice delicacy, because conversation is always good around some good food.
Yeah.
So it's whatever the men decide to come in and talk about, and we just kind of guide that. It depends on who's there. And it's led to some great conversations. I want to go into detail about what men are talking about in there because it's a safe space.
Okay. So outside of that space, what are men talking about, guys? As y'all know, we see it.
Want
It's
me to
on
be honest
it's
with
on
you?
social.
Outside of the barbershop, unless I'm with like a close homeboy like Danielle,
Hmm.
then we talk business and just talk trying to get ahead. But when I'm in a group, we
Y'all
just
ain't really
don't
talking
talk.
about.
Can I
We
be
talk about a
can I
whole
be
bunch of
totally
nothing.
transparent and honest
Oh,
with you?
Yeah.
yes.
I don't hang with dudes.
So these conversations, the barbershop is like the spot. It's necessary because y'all ain't even talking to each other. So where do you vent? Where do you process? What
A woman cut my hair.
Oh my, I'm about to turn the mic off. So.
And even then, in the barbershop, I've kind of grown to
Like, I don't
let
know
them
these
do the
dudes.
talking,
Yeah.
and I just listen and laugh
Okay.
Mhm.
because I don't want to be the one. I'm not gonna go in there and come in here and just tell all my stuff when you listen and laugh at me when I leave. So I just
And that was another aspect of the
Interesting.
barbershop talks is because barbers are taking in a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
They listening to a lot of these stories and things. And so what do they do with that? So what we did was, take it a step further and sharing those resources with the barbers as well. Being able to say, okay, if you're having this type of conversation with this dude or whatever, here's a number that you could probably give it to. What we want to do is just make it, more acceptable uh, to take advice, to seek counseling, to
Okay.
come in and sit down and talk about it.
Okay.
Going back to what he said, you be around a group of guys and ain't nobody gonna talk about it for real. But what I'd always found useful or whatever, I'm listening. I'm very attentive. I'm like, okay. Now, because go back to this pride thing. I'll take, and my wife gets on me all the time. I don't never see you helping no man, but yes, I do. But I told her it's an element of pride. A man will never want to be shown, that you help me. You get what I'm saying?
you can show enough love to make a person
Exactly.
want to
So
kill
I
you.
always go behind. I pull them off to the side. Like, hey man, what's going on?
Okay.
And I direct them that way.
Okay.
You know. But I do when it's usually when I'm out and stuff like that. People just like I said, come to me. And now that I have you as a resource, I send them your way because I usually have people that I send them to.
It sounds like such a hard task being a man. Like to have to think about it to that extent of, yeah, I don't even be around men. We don't talk about that. We don't do. Wow, that's really a lot. So, ladies, now we heard that much from them. But I know as someone who talks to men every day, men are talking about a lot of the same things that we talk about. And I'm gonna need y'all to be real about that. Y'all are talking about the same stuff we talk about. Not only are you talking about it, but you're writing about it. I've seen some guys go in. You're doing lives about life. You're doing lives about your children, about your relationships, about religion, about spirituality, about being a black man in America, about being afraid of the police, how to respond in situations that are judicial. Those are the conversations that are being had. And I can only imagine you all walking around with all of that on you every day, on top of the other environmental factors. We're from Inslee. You from where you
Powder.
from? Powderly.
Yeah.
Jack, you're from Fairfield. Like
Fairfield.
we are from urban areas where we've seen and heard things all of our lives. So you have all of that stuff with the new stuff that's been added over 38 years, 30 some years.
I can't even process when Negan killed the other day. Like, I really can't. I seen him every day for the past 20 years. I can't process that. Like that's somebody I see every single day. And now when I go to the store, he ain't done no more.
Right. So it adds another layer, but then it goes back to what Jeff said, because we've seen so many people go that way.
Yep.
So many people go the same way. Jeff, you all were taught what?
What you talk? You talking about the Marines?
Yeah.
Show no emotion. You forget about that. You have to. Pain is weakness leaving the body. So if that emotion is a weakness for you, you got to learn how to. That's what we're gonna focus on. We're gonna make you tough.
So you get a tattoo or a shirt and you just stay tough.
You stay tough.
But actually, when you
Wow.
when you finish your tour, they recommended though treatment. They recommended
No, they didn't.
maybe they didn't recommend.
No,
it?
that wasn't.
There was no
It didn't come
debriefing.
because I went in the first wave.
Uh-huh.
So it wasn't until after I went in 2000 into 2003, 2004. I was in that first wave, Fallujah and Ramadi. So they didn't when they started to see the problems after the first group came back. Before that's when they start hammering with the post-traumatic stress syndrome. So it had to be around 2008, 9,
Okay.
somewhere along in there,
Mm-hmm.
because those people that had been there in 2003, 2004, 2005, they're back home now.
Okay.
And you just stick them back into society.
Mm-hmm.
And they try to what they say, desensitize before you come back, but you can't do it after you see some of the stuff that you seen. You can't just or do some of the stuff that you've done. You just can't do it. Like I'm retired from the post office. Why? Because my PTSD. Because that job with the shooting and the tornadoes and
That's a crazy job to have at the service.
yeah, I didn't know it, man.
So let's pause there. We're gonna come back to you being retired already. Like that's amazing. We're going to talk about that and your mental health with retirement and how that all played out. And then we're going to hear more from Jock. And then if you all have any questions or comments, I'll open the phone lines up for a while. I see some comments that are being posted. And if any of you need any contact information, you want to reach out now, you can. Jock, what's the contact information for Brother Let's Talk?
Area code 205-259-6304, or just go to our Facebook page, or Brother Let's Talk at gmail.com or brotherletstalk.com. There's a few different ways to get in touch with us.
Google Brother Let's Talk. Okay, so we'll be right back in just a few minutes for our second hour of the Abby Award winning Vital Show right here on V949 WATV, where on Sunday nights the V stands for Vital.
So I hear you saying not understanding how to process your homeboys. You said a friend just died.
He Vic.
You said a friend of yours just died.
Yeah, down the street at the store.
Uh, and what you were saying, not knowing how to process it, and that's what a lot of dudes are dealing with. A lot of people, especially in our culture, man, grief, not knowing really how to deal, how to address their grief, how to process it. I remember um, a grandmother had come into my office. Her son was killed. She was the matriarch of the family, and so she felt that she had to be strong for everybody in the family. She didn't want everybody else seeing her break down. And so she had gone to her pastor, and the pastor would be like, "It's going to be okay, sister, just pray about it." By the time she had come to me, she was like, "I'm tired of praying." Not that she didn't believe in prayer, but needed to take it a step further.
Me and Wu had this conversation the other day. Yeah, it's not just go to church and pray.
This my thing. This my thing is like
that's
you
one
can't
element
have
of it.
one without the other. Like if you are too technical and too smart and you lose your faith, you still won't be fixed. But if you too strength on the spiritual side and you don't get the other side, you just sitting around waiting for a miracle.
Yeah.
So I've
Which-
learned like I can't how I was learned how I was taught and came up was to know the 1 + 1 = 2 of life. Like I'm trying to figure it out. Like I just try to figure out whatever I'm going through. I just try to figure it out. I never leaned toward faith till I had to.
So what I was telling her, I truly believe God puts each of us here to be that conduit to whatever it is that we're seeking or we desire. We're here to help one another. Not that, like I was saying, not that prayer doesn't work, but let's take it a step further and have this conversation about what you're feeling. Because with her, this grandmother, she didn't have anybody she could just open up to and let it all out. For the first 30 minutes of that session, she just cried. She just cried, and I let her cry. But then she was going to thank you for letting me cry because she hadn't been able to do it at home.
space for it.
Her grandkids are there.
And they think that just go to church, is gonna fix everything. No, 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 no. No, I'm spiritual. I go to church and I do what I do. That's just one, like you said, that's one element of it. That's your spiritual therapist. Then you gotta, if you really need help, you gotta go get a real therapist. And then your family is your outlet, and it's around Robin, and that's how you cope with it.
That made me think about something I talked about. Are we about to go on? Five aspects of self. I tell people to find out who they are in this area and how can they grow themselves in this area, physically,
My phone
spiritually,
died too.
emotionally, socially, and intellectually.
You got need a charger.
Yeah, she said she got.
Because you talked about that spiritual side of it. When you look at yourself in those five different areas, who are you physically, spiritually, mentally, intellectually, and socially? And try to grow yourself in all those different areas.
Mm-hmm.
V949 WATV, where the V stands for Vital. I am Lady Wu. Got one crew member in tonight. Big Vic, how are you?
Good, I'm good, I'm good.
Very good. And special guest tonight, Mr. Jeffrey Rouser and Mr. Jock Austin from Brother Let's Talk. So tonight, these brothers have given us a very, very personal look into mental health and their thoughts on mental health and just different components of. We've talked about the military. We've talked about the urban street life. We've talked about different things. We've talked about different things, and hopefully you've gotten something from it. And I see the conversations going on as well. Jock, somebody wanted you to repeat the phone number.
That's area code 205-259-6304. And I want to thank United Way of Central Alabama. They've given Brother Let's Talk a grant which allows us to provide free counseling. And we know that sometimes counseling is not cheap. And so finances can sometimes be a barrier. And so what we're doing is putting together a network of licensed professionals. We're providing free counseling to those who hadn't gone to counseling before or may not be able to afford it. Call 205-259-6304 for men and boys of color.
Awesome. This is amazing because I get calls often of people not knowing where to start. Like they don't know who to call, how much it costs, how is a session supposed to go? Like what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to sit? Go in and talk. And kind of think about what you want to, like what is it that why do you feel like you're reaching out? What is it that I need to talk about? And go in there and talk about it. That's how it starts, right?
Yeah, it's kind of that easy.
Like
It's kind of, but
I'm here to talk to you. Okay, come on in, let's talk.
it's a little more, you kind of find out more about that therapist,
Uh-huh.
whatever.
I
And
went through 4 before I found one that was comfortable, open up.
exactly. And,
Yeah.
going through 4, because sometimes a person might go to one person and be like, oh, okay, that's
get
not a good fit.
discouraged. Yeah.
Right.
And give
It's
up.
like dating. That's what I had an instructor to say that it's just like dating. You keep going until you find the right one. I was like, oh, okay. But that's kind of what it is. Like find the right fit for you. When you went, Jeff, what were you looking for? Like what were
I
you
wasn't
looking for in
looking
this
for a
person?
therapist. I was looking for a friend.
Okay.
So you got to be able to relate.
Okay.
I don't want to hear all this doctor talk and right. I don't want it. Let's
Like,
talk.
don't do that.
Because you asked me a question. I'm sarcastic. You want to ask me how my day is, how your day is. So I'm gonna shrink you. And if you ain't strong enough, if you ain't strong enough to take it,
Mhm.
oh, you
So,
ain't.
so your therapist has to remind you, sir,
Yeah,
this
you
is
gotta
not the
have the same
military. We're not
personality
finna
I
play.
got. Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta come
Okay.
with it.
That's why I got
But
in the field.
that's the
I want to meet you there.
yeah. But that's me filling you out
Okay.
so that everything else when we see each other, or if it's a casual conversation. Now I guarantee you getting everything you want out that conversation from me. You'll get all my progression. You get what I'm saying?
Gotcha. So that's how it went for you finding somebody. I know Vic, we were talking off air and you recognize a lot of things and you've learned some things, but have you done therapy before? Have you ever been like in a real session?
I haven't, because it's another stigma. Like when it come down to how can the hood,
Yeah.
like it's a stigma that you don't talk on what you've been through. Like that's the big stigma. Like you don't talk about it. Like, 'cause
Where did
let's
we
say
get that
if you got a
from?
soldier that's been at war, you've seen people die, you've seen people get killed, you kill people, you've kind of done it legally. But then you got people that have done it illegally,
It's still the same effect.
and the same effect on them mentally, but they scared
Yeah.
to speak on it because how can you speak on something you had no business doing?
Because
Carrying
your,
a voice.
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
counseling session is confidential.
Mhm.
Your
Yeah.
therapist is
Mhm.
held to. Now, short of you saying you're gonna kill someone or you're gonna
Yeah.
kill yourself,
Right.
there's a duty to warn. But without a court order in
But
some cases,
But
but
not
we
even
can't.
saying somebody kill somebody. Like if you saw somebody kill somebody and that
Well, you
traumatized
protect-
you,
You-
like
you
you
can't
scared to
even-
speak
you're,
on
you're,
it.
you're protected though.
Yeah,
Like if you seen somebody die and you seen how it happened, it traumatizes but 90% of the black community not gonna speak on that ever again. It's gonna affect their life forever. They
But
gonna act
is
on
it because nobody has come to the neighborhood and said, look, like, hey, y'all know I'm a therapist. My brother knows I'm a therapist. My
Yeah.
cousins know I'm a therapist. They know that I know therapists.
to the average hood dude? They're gonna look at that like policing.
And to be honest with you, when I was delivering in Fairfield and when you see me in the street,
Yeah.
because what I went through, I ended up being a therapist. So I know a lot of stuff that goes.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But they know that I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah.
But I'm that somebody you can come, man. Guess what, man? I'm like,
Just to let it out.
yeah.
Okay.
Let
Okay.
it out. And it
Okay.
may not get as deep as having seen this particular
Yeah,
killing or
yeah,
something
yeah.
like
I'm
that. It
just
may
saying
be
that's
some
to an
other
extent.
stuff.
Like a lot of trauma
If
come
that's
from
your stuff,
places
that's your
where
stuff.
that people the reason they don't speak on it because they're scared to speak on it. Like a lot of trauma come from fear. Like you not fear of it happening, but fear of talking about it. Like I've been through stuff that I won't say I'm scared to talk about because it incriminate me because it's not that. I don't want to
Having those
face it.
feelings again, maybe.
Yeah, because if you
There you go.
face it, you gotta face them feelings.
Yeah.
I gotta face one day checking speaking to me walking up my front door and walking off and getting killed and never seeing him again. Like, but I don't think about that. Like I think about it every now and then, once a year, and I keep it moving. But that affects you.
Right.
Like,
You talk about fear of facing those feelings. Counseling is a process. You don't come
Yeah.
in that first day and just open up. You know, it's a gradual process of learning to deal with some of those emotions that you are comfortable talking about, and getting into that pattern of being comfortable talking about some of those easy emotions, and then kind of step a little further into some of those emotions that are kind of close to the chest. But when you hold it in, it's just like filling that balloon full of water. Eventually,
yeah,
it's gonna burst, and it may burst and water go over the wrong people at the
Mm-hmm.
wrong
Sponge
time.
effect.
You know,
Yeah.
and so it's important to be able to let some of that water out from time to time, to be able to just open up and talk about
I appreciate Brother Let's Talk for that reason, and other therapists who are not a part of any type of group that just get out and do the work. I often talk about the work that we do and did at the Dannon Project. Like those are a lot of the situations where people are forced to have to be in our presence to get the stuff that we're talking about now. But it's the same story, it's the same culture, the same everything, but it's just the way that they're exposed to therapy and to having someone to listen, and it just makes a world of difference. Like Jeffrey said, to be able to talk. Like I've heard that 100 times. I ain't never talked about it. Oh,
yeah.
I have never talked about that, and I appreciate you for talking about it. Now,
Mhm.
how do you feel?
That's why most young
Light,
black boys
light.
stay clean to their grandmother. That's the
Yeah,
one person in their life that they talk to.
yeah,
And see, the thing is, with that stigma that you are talking about, if I'm fearless enough to do it, because
Yeah.
as you all as therapists, if I'm talking about it, I mean I'm reliving it at the same time.
Yep.
So when I walk out the door, I got to deal with whatever I just talked to y'all about, all those memories.
yeah. And we don't want
But
to
no,
re-traumatize
we
you and
can.
make you
But
do
that
that.
goes back to me learning how to deal with it,
Right,
manage it on my own.
right.
But
Mhm.
if you see I'm fearless enough to do it, maybe they'll get somebody else to do it,
it. Right.
or even come to me and I can direct you to the right place and just let you know it's okay.
Jock, where's the right place?
Your nearest therapist.
And brother, let's talk.
Brother, let's talk. Again, 205-259-6304. We're here. We've been holding conversations since 2017, and we want to continue beyond COVID, holding those barbershop talks, those community events, and help to stop that stigma, to allow more Black men to address the stress that they're dealing with and
Mhm,
not have to hold it in. Because a lot of times, the way people are learning to cope with what they're dealing with, drugs, alcohol, aggression, and violence,
mhm.
everybody else a problem and not me. I think the number one way to solving the issue is to first look at yourself, to see what is it that how is it am I even looking at this issue from the right perspective. And the way
Yeah,
that I've been taught and learned to look at and deal with this situation lends to some negative thinking, lends to some negative self-talk. So let's talk about a different perspective on it, a different way of thinking about it. There's, I can't remember the person that made the quote, but it's change your thinking, change your world. When you
yeah.
change the way you think about something, when you change your perspective about people, about life, and more importantly, about yourself, you begin to change your world.
And what did you say the number was again?
205-259-6304.
Awesome. So hopefully you guys can write that number down. I'll have it posted for you in a second so that you can see it. It's so much, so many layers to mental health and mental wellness and mental illness and just everything about us is driven by mental health. We've been having conversations all month, and last Sunday we talked about mental health as far as DMR is a topic that we do every third Sunday. So dating, mating, and relating and mental health and how that comes up in conversation. You out here trying to get this girl, get this guy, or trying to maintain a healthy relationship, but you're not healthy. You have a lot of stuff going on mentally and how much it affects your relationships. Yeah, the relationship topics go deep. They go long and we could talk all day about them. But what are your thoughts about mental health, men, mental health, and relationships?
Let's say this personal experience. When when you get to the point where you value mental health
Yeah.
and you kind of get emotionally intelligent, you can kind of identify key points in a female early on that you know you can't deal with. And I just see it. Like if I see somebody mentally not on the level that I'm on, I just back away. So it's really kind of
Mm,
thin in my playing field because I can identify a child by the mind when I'm talking to them.
okay. So you know what you need mentally when you're dating.
Yeah, because I need somebody as strong mentally as I am strong mentally. I need some. We need to bounce off each other. Our energy got to bounce off each other. I just can't keep giving you all my energy. You not giving nothing back. I'm
Okay.
eventually get drained.
Okay. Facts. Jeff.
The same way with me. So I'm married now. But if I dated you, you have like going back to the story I told with the therapist. I don't got to see if you can take it.
Yeah.
And if you got,
So this just your thing with everybody.
yeah,
You got to test them out.
yeah, because I know what I
Can
deal
you
with.
handle
It
me?
takes a strong
Yeah.
person to deal with me. You get what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
So you got to be as strong, equally as strong, or show signs of you can be strong and I can mold it. I can get you to where I want you to be at. I can get you exactly where I want you to be at.
To know that I'm good for you.
Exactly.
That's
Because I know what you want. You know what I'm saying? I know what you want. And I can you want to provide, I give you that. All that.
okay.
But now it's about what I need because I'm the one with the mental health issues, the major. So I need in order for you to put up with me, I gotta give it to you.
Okay. All right. So, Jack, I'm not gonna ask you the same question about that part of it, but when you think about dating, mating, relating, and mental health, black men and mental health, what are some of the things that you have seen or just things that you think about when that topic comes up and how relationships go with black men and their mental health?
I see a lot of times where a person has taken their emotions. It's like my love, my joy, and they put it in somebody else's lap and say, "Okay, you need to take care of that. You're
Mhm.
responsible for my love. You're responsible for my happiness. You're responsible for." No.
No.
Get to know yourself. Love yourself. Being able to be your own source of joy and
Mhm.
happiness. Then it's a lot easier to share that with someone else. For you to be able to teach them how to love you, and they do the same for you.
Okay. All right. So, comment here. Do we think that men's mental health has an effect on the high crime rate? Speaking on Birmingham, because this is in our city. So, like everything that's happening with the crime and violence in the city,
Right.
is this a mental health crisis or is it something else? A little bit of both,
Well,
a little bit of everything.
Either way, I know for a fact is mental health is
Poverty, right?
overall education.
Yeah.
Is you got let's just say if you put two toddlers in a room,
Mm-hmm.
you give them one ball, eventually they're gonna fight over that ball. But if they grow up physically, but they never grow up mentally, that
They
ball
still fight
eventually
for their
become
ball,
money,
right?
and they eventually fight with guns, and they eventually keep trying to kill each other. Like if like a lot of beefs in the neighborhood can be ended with one mature conversation. Just
Right.
talk to each other.
Right. And from I'm 38 years old, you're
52.
50, woo, you're
30 something.
30 something, and
35.
huh?
35.
You're 35. When we were coming up, we didn't have social media, did we?
And
Yeah.
no.
No,
But it
Thank
was a lot of
God.
gang
Never.
violence, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of gang violence,
Yeah.
right? Well, guess what? Now you don't have gang violence. You got social media violence because all this stuff is
Yeah.
yeah, and then you go straight to social media with it. Then it goes back to this because it is mental, this pride thing. You got to prove your point. These kids don't know we used to fight it out,
No.
but because they see on certain videos or shows or people do these skits or whatever, that's how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to pick up a gun. And I used to tell these kids on my rap when you want to shoot, I got a place to go that I can see you.
Yeah.
You want to do it? I promise you.
Yeah. Jack,
it's a
what you
number.
think?
I
And then you
think
gotta
it's a
look at
number.
social media. It's desensitizing people too. 'Cause you can go online right now and see somebody get killed at any time.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah,
when
and
we were
see,
growing
that's
up,
what
you
I'm
had
saying.
to
Yeah.
physically be there to
Yeah.
see somebody die. So now you can see it online. So it kind of desensitizes a young
Yeah,
child
well,
to where
a
death
little,
ain't that
a
bad.
little bit because it's still seen as not.
It's not in person,
It's not
but
in person.
it still can.
yeah, watching that video, of course,
Yeah.
it desensitizes you. And I was going to say it's a number of different variables from what you're talking about with social media being as prevalent as it is now, not learning certain coping skills, that a person not being able
Right.
to understand that no means no and it's okay. A lot of times I think we're growing up in a culture where people want this immediate gratification, and it It comes through social media. I think you were saying earlier how people value themselves based on their prevalence in social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, where it becomes more so now that the life they're living through that is more important than what they're
In the
actually
real
doing.
life,
There
right?
you go. There you go.
Like,
There
what
you
is
go.
happening?
There you go. And you're absolutely right. I've been knowing Vic for a few years, so we see it all the time. It's very few people that actually live the life that they actually live.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's strange to this point. Like it comes to a point like sometimes I didn't deactivate my page for like a month
Yeah.
just to kind
Just to
of
get some reality.
reality, and I see that a lot of people in real life that just it's social
yeah. I
media.
mean, I see how
It,
people live. You know what I'm saying?
it's
Like
not the
that
same.
ain't the
Like
same person. Hold up, man.
But that, it can be an escape for some. It can be that the reality that they need for
You're right.
others,
it's
you
an
know.
escape.
You're right. And then take it up to just what I did. It was a a, a source of therapy.
When you did the show.
Hmm
Hmm.
It was a source of social media for me was like therapy.
And I think it's that for a lot of people. They just don't recognize
You
that,
just got to
that's
do it
what
the
it
right way.
is. Yeah.
You got to
Like
do it
I
the right
kept
way.
up the most mess on social media when I went happy.
So you recognize it.
I know it.
What you say you did?
Like I used to be a troll.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
recall, but
Well,
like
likewise.
you
That's what I'm
said, you
saying.
And
said
then
when
once
you were when
once
you
I
were
got to
unhappy.
yeah, because it was an escape. I
Wow.
just got to laugh and joke and mess with people. I'm gonna aggravate you as much as I'm aggravated. But once I start getting out of that space and I'm good now, I'm happy. I'm in a chill space.
You don't be
Man,
there.
I don't be there. Like
Yeah,
I'm good. Y'all
yeah.
had it.
And I agree with him.
I don't
It
care
was
who on
similar.
live arguing and fighting. That ain't got
Yeah,
nothing to do with me. I'm
So
good.
you can kind of point it out. So there may be another something else to look at, but you can point out and pull it out. You can look at social media and statuses and posts and kind of see
yeah.
what's going
And
on.
if Vic was able to recognize that, and I know with you didn't talk to people that's just the same way. We can go on social media and I can tell you who ain't happy with their
Yeah, you
life.
can tell how they acting on that. Who's
You
not
get what I'm
happy?
saying? I can tell you like, man, they need help. They reach because they're reaching out,
Yeah.
Yep.
and
Yeah.
people don't know it. They're reaching out for help.
A friend of mine, we call it crying out.
Yeah,
Like that's what we got.
they're
Look at them
crying
crying
out, and
out.
then
Mhm.
sometimes I go like, "What's wrong? You're doing too much. What's wrong?"
Yep.
And that's when they open up.
They'll break down.
They'll break down, but
The
they're
Vic,
looking for the attention, and they're not getting it from the people that they want to get it from.
And they've never learned how to ask for it.
Exactly, exactly,
Wow.
exactly.
Jock,
yes,
Brother
ma'am.
Let's Talk is available because we hear that there's a need for people to be able to get off of social media and actually talk to someone. How can they reach you?
205-259-6304. Go to www.brotherletstalk.com is our webpage. Visit us on Facebook or Instagram. But
Got it.
205-259-6304 if you're interested in starting individual or group counseling.
Gotcha. Jock, let's stay with you right quick. Have a comment on the live. It says, "How can you open up to anything when you're built to shut it all out? But in actuality, everything around you only beats you more. So how do I know that this would make me better or stronger?"
So you're looking at it from that perspective. What does not kill me makes me stronger. That idea I must be going through this because I'm growing to to something better or something greater, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it strongly encourage that person to, really sit down with a therapist, find someone to talk to so they can explore. I always say, if the only person in your head is you,
Yeah.
if you only listening to what is
Right.
going on in your mind, then that's not a safe space. You talk to someone, try to identify if what you're looking at it, the way you're looking at it, is it productive for you? Is it helpful? And then be open to some new ideas because if what you've been doing isn't working, then let's try to do something different. Let's
All
try to
right.
do something that's productive, something that's helpful, and it could start with having a conversation with a therapist.
Having the conversation is the key to all of it. Sometimes that conversation with self, like Jack is saying, if you're only hearing yourself, that's one thing. But when you can get in the mirror and own that, hey, I got some stuff and this is hard. I can't look at myself and feel happy about what I see. I need to contact somebody. I need to reach out. Or I'm carrying around some stuff I've been carrying around like all of my adult life. And it's really causing me to lose friends, lose family. I ain't, like I'm out here by myself. I'm upset. That's probably a cue to go and seek help. And I think we've given the number out about 10 times so far. I'm going to post it again because it's available to you. And then I hear that they're not even charging. So it's really no reason now that you're having to worry about, well, how much is a session? They said 150. No, no, they didn't say that. They didn't say that.
Thanks to United Way of Central Alabama.
Like they didn't say that, right?
Thanks to them, we're
So,
able to provide free individual counseling.
and that is great. So take advantage of that. Let me look at some more of these comments. Facts. I'm 39 and we would fight it out and be friends the next day. How I was raised in Pratt City. That's what used to happen. Another comment. That's what you call a strong shoulder and a helping hand. Amen. So speaking of amen and strong shoulders, before we get ready to get out of here, we were also talking about how you have to have the right cocktail of solution. And therapy is one piece of it, spirituality is another piece, probably a strong support system is the other. But Jeffrey, speak on that because you were saying it wasn't just therapy. It wasn't just medication for
No,
you.
because you can't be in church all the time. You can't be at uh your therapist all the time. And you can't be around your loved ones all the time. It's a combination. It's got to occupy your mind. All because the ultimate goal is to keep your mind off when you depending on what level of PTSD it is. You got to occupy your mind. So you can go from spiritual, you relate it back to what you're going through, but then that should help you open up to your therapist. And then you can be able to relay what you learned about yourself to your family so they'll know exactly how to. And it's just like a round robin, you know. But it's you just can't say God heal me because it don't work like that. I can tell you it don't.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that is a key point. Religion is a key factor in it. Because you have to. And it's gonna open the door to go to your therapist and then deal with your family. It's gonna help out. But you gotta have all three elements going at the same time.
Vic, anything else you think that needs to go with that, or
I say religion is the Kickstarter
okay,
because praying is a form of meditating. And when they say pray about it, meditate about it, whatever you call it, you got to sit down in a quiet space and you got to face what's
Mhm.
wrong. Once you face what's wrong, you know how to address and fix what's wrong. But until you get to a quiet space and sit down and face it, you forever in chaos. You just ripping and running, avoiding,
yeah,
ripping, running, avoiding. So it's gonna take that time frame where you gonna like the pandemic forced a lot of
right,
people to face their
right.
demons. I'm pretty sure suicide rate probably higher than normal. I'm pretty sure a lot of stuff higher than normal because you had to face what was wrong with you in
Mm-hmm.
this year.
Hmm.
So it just take that.
Jack, what you think?
I think off air I talked about that five aspects of self. Looking at because you were saying there are more to it. There's a mental side, and I guess Will, you talked about that social support. I often encourage people to look at themselves from these five areas. The physical you,
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty apparent. Eat healthy, exercise, stuff like that. The spiritual you, which is so very important. That meditation, that knowing that there is something there higher than
Mhm.
you. And then a lot of time it's just that support system that we need to help to give us hope and encouragement.
Mhm.
That intellectual you. Are you challenging your mind? Are you learning new things? Are you going, different places? Are you growing intellectually? Then there's the mental you. We talked a lot about that today, and improving your emotional health,
Yeah.
your mental health. But then also the social you. We are social creatures. We're supposed to be able to interact, talk, and socialize, but then have that support system, people who come in and check on you. But you also checking in on other people,
Mm-hmm.
and checking on their welfare, and not being able to you sitting down next to a brother and you see some things are going on. It's like, brother, let's talk. We can step aside out here and have a real conversation.
Mhm.
I may not be able to be a therapist, but I know some dudes who you can go and talk
Right.
to. So yeah, I just want to add that.
Thank you. So when in doubt, reach out. And the way to do that, a great way to do it right now, you all have a blessing in store through brothers that look like you, sound like you, um, and in some cases have experienced a lot of things similar to you, but you never know until you open up. Like you have to open up to realize that there are people who can help or people who can relate, and you don't have to feel like you're alone in this thing. So for Brother Let's Talk, 259-6304, 205-259-6304. Hit them up, hit them up, hit them up and see what's going on. Not just in mental May, but every day. Anything that you all want to say before we get out of here?
All right, all right. Follow me on Snapchat. No, I'm joking. Got my son on Snapchat, so I don't use it no more. Follow me on Instagram
Mm-hmm.
and Facebook, Vic Winston.
All right. Jeff,
Uh,
you have anything else to say?
I don't have to work tomorrow or the next day or the next day.
How is
Uh,
that? Because I'm so,
Yeah, life is
boy,
Catch me in traffic.
man. Look, let me ask you this before we go. Being retired, does that really help you balance out things? Are you at a better mental state now that you don't have to worry about work?
I am. And because at the time, work was the biggest contributor. Yes. So, and it's playing time. I play in this time. You know, most people don't know what they're gonna do. No, I knew exactly what I was gonna do. And I told you, like we talked off, coming down here to do this is therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
You know, when I ran for office, that's what I like to do. Help people. Vic, when you see,
Yeah.
Vic already know I help folks behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
And that
That's
makes
my
you
job.
feel good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish we're gonna try to retire by 38. That's
Man,
that.
I'm
whoo.
aiming about
As I
50
gave you a
right now.
goal to reach.
Yeah, like that is major. I'm proud of you for that. So keep doing what you're doing. Jock, final thoughts.
Stop the stigma. Address the stress. Contact Brother Let's Talk. 205-259-6304. Visit us on Facebook, Instagram, brotherletstalk.com.
Awesome. I'm going to close us out with this comment that I think is pretty awesome from Miss Tanya Collins. Tanya says, very good show. This was not just for men, it was for me as a woman, giving me the knowledge to help my guy and other brothers out there. Basically, knowing how to respond and not respond. So I think that's pretty good. So there, we have to figure out how to work and live and love together. And I think this is the best way to do it through communicating. We learned some things, and hopefully the things that you learn, you can take home and share, or either you turn your radio up or you'll share the video. As for me, I'll be back top of the morning, 10 a.m. for Lady Wu's Midday Feng Shui. I set your tone for the midday. So I still do this even in the midday with the music. I let the music be the soundtrack for your mental health healing here in May. And on Saturdays and then back on Sunday, I ain't ever not here. So catch me in the morning, 10 a.m., V94.9 WATV. Coming up, I have a special segment from someone in the city who is doing something great called the Dan I School of Creativity. It's right here on V94.9 WATV in just a few.
This is the legendary Chubb Rock. Join me this and every Sunday night from 10 p.m. to midnight for Digging in the Crates
All right.
as we play those